guys, we're on tutorial 9. We're going to start building in some melodic elements to the track and really start to feel the music as opposed to just a groove that we've been working with so far. Now before we go on to, as you can see, I've added a new track here with a bit of a basic chord structure. But before we go into that, we're going to organise the percussion that we mixed down and will roughly mix down in the previous sessions. So first of all, we've kind of got some labelling here, but I like to think we could make this a little bit easier on ourselves. So this track here we're going to start off with, we're going to rename that to percussion. This one, as we know, is the tambourine. We can rename that to tambo. That's what we call it in the trade. This one is sub bass. This one says kick 808, but we're going to just call it kick. Okay, what we also want to do is change some of the colours of the clips. So I'm going to select these two. Set that to turquoise. The clap sounds, I'd say, would come into the drop into the percussion sound, so we'll go for the red here. Change these two. There we go. A little bit better organised now. So let's head into the chord structure that I've added here. Now, this is where I'd recommend, any sort of musical knowledge is very beneficial when you're making music, even in house music, where it's not always the most musical of classically trained musicians go into it. However, it's definitely recommended. But there are ways around that. Now, I've played in a basic chord structure here, and I've got a basic dry sound on the operator synth. The sound I use, synth brass analog, so I just grabbed one of these here within the lead folder in the operator synth. So what I'm going to talk about is, it's really important to begin with. Some people would say the bass line is better to start with, or a hook. It's always good, if you're going to use any chords, to start with a chord structure. It means that we can then take any root notes from those chords and then replay our bass line, and indeed the hook from that too. So we've added some sort of moody chords here, minor chords. Very moody and minor. So what you can do, if you really have no knowledge of music at all, Ableton does have some tools that you can use. So we're going to collapse the instruments, go into the MIDI effects, and as you can see, we have the chord browser here. There's a number of different chords in there. So you can effectively drag one of these on. It'll always pop it in front of the instrument and then mimic the chord that it's represented here. So we're going +7 here, which is a fifth. We're going at +3 there. So what we can do is we can find the root note. If you play a root note in on your keyboard, you can then copy those notes up on the respective layers. So these are up 3, as you can see here. And these notes here are the same notes, but we've increased those up 7 notes, as you can see here. I've left the octave down out of there because that's going to be adding some extra bass that we don't need in there. So you can use these chord features, and then it gives you a bit of knowledge as well. You can then try those chords on the keyboard, and it's sort of a bit of a stopgap before you go full on with some piano lessons and such. So anyway, let's go back to this sound that we've got here. I think this is a nice, if we hear it within the groove, it's a nice moody chord. What I'd say is it's really dry at the moment. We've not got any effects on there, and it's quite harsh, so we're going to go in and adjust some of the parameters. First of all, I'd say the filter. What we're going to do is just loop the first bar so we can hear it constantly playing while we amend the sound. I'm just going to pull the cutoff frequency down so it's a little bit softer, increase a little bit of resonance. And then go into here and adjust the envelope, which again is going to soften the sound. Now we wouldn't mind bringing a bit of movement into this. So we can go on the LFO that's currently selected onto oscillator A. And change that to filter. Turn it off on oscillator A. And let's start adding some of that wet signal. So it's a sine wave. The rate's quite high. Let's lower the rate. a bit smoother. Increase the amount a little bit. I'm going to go back into the filter, adjust the envelope. So I think there's a bit of movement in there now. Let's hear it with the rest of the track. Cool. Let's go back and adjust that to 8 bars. Cool. So now, next up, I think we're going to be processing this synth part. So we've got a bit more, so there's a bit more essence to it. At the moment it's sounding a little bit dry. That'll be in tutorial 10.